Hi, I'm Margaret Lewin, and welcome to Margaret Lewin Quilting. Today is our day for block number 18, which is called Catch a Falling Star. And what it is made up of 4 stars. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do all of my flying geese, and I will follow the directions that were given here. I will tell you that I did cut my flying geese just a little bit bigger than what they asked for. So that's completely up to you. I find if I have another 1/8 or another 1/4, I tend to do a little bit better on flying geese because I can then square them up. So I'm going to start by doing all of these little flying geese. Then I'll come back and show you exactly how I go about squaring them up. So I'll see you once my flying geese are made and I'm ready to square them. All right, here's my pile of flying geese. They need to be trimmed up to 2 inches by 3.5. So 2 inches by 3.5. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by laying the geese down on my cutting board with the diagonal line going this way. The reason for that is because I want that 45-degree diagonal line to line up directly with my ruler. So what I'm going to do is, if the block is 3.5 inches wide, half of 3.5 is 1 3/4. So I need to first find the 1 3/4 mark on my Creative Goods ruler, and it's right here. We'll go through the points quick, okay? So here's our 1 mark. Here's 1 1/8. 1 1/4, 1 3/8, 1 1/2, 1 5/8. This one's 1 3/4. So that's the one we want. I'm going to line that up right down there on that little point and make sure that I'm pointing right at that spot. Then I'm going to put my 45-degree line right there on the stitch line. I'm going to take a look and I'm going to make sure of a couple of things. Going to make sure I've got 2 inches I'm going to make sure I've got 2 inches top and bottom, and that I can make my 3.5 inch width or length. All right, and I can. Another thing that I can check is right over here at 3.5, which is right here. And look, it's going to hit really nicely right there on the 45-degree line that way. So I can go ahead, come up one side, then go across the top. Then the next thing I'm going to do is just spin it around. I'm going to lay my ruler back on it. I'm going to line up the bottom at 2 inches. I'm going to double check and make sure that my left side is at 3.5 and that I've got an extra 1/4 inch right here. And I do. I'll go up the right side again and then across the top. And that is exactly how you will go about squaring up your flying geese. So I'm going to do the rest of them off camera because I do them the exact same way. So this is what our blocks are starting to look like. So my next set of what I need to do is I need to start putting these together. And I'm going to be putting them together in rows. So here's a row, here is a row, here's a row, here is a row, and here's a row. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go down through it row by row. So these two will come together. They will join that and this, and then these two, and then this. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows that I'm going to be putting together. So I'll be back once I've got one of them to that stage, okay? I've managed to get both blocks into 5 rows. So they're ready to be sewn together now. A couple of things I want to point out when you do this. If you have a hard time getting these points to match, try pins on both sides of it. Or what I ended up doing was when I pinned it farther down here instead of right up here, and it seemed to keep those blocks together tightly so that they didn't shift, because that's important. I pressed these, let's see, these were pressed out, these were pressed in, these were pressed out, these were pressed in, these were pressed out. So now these seams will nestle together really nicely when I sew them up. So I'm going to sew all of these together. I'll press them and then I'll come back and go over our block one last time. So here are my two blocks. They're both completely finished. I will tell you that the pressing on this one came out better. I'm going to flip it over. What I did is I pressed open all 5 or 4 seams so that it laid really flat, and it does lay much flatter when you do it this way. On this one I tried to press it a couple of different ways. It actually goes like this, and I'm going to let this sit, and then what I will do is I will very, very lightly spray it with a mister. I'll show you my mister. This is my water mister, and I will spray it very lightly with that, and I'll come back and press it. When I do, I'm going to press the seams open. Just, you know, it just didn't, it's not sitting nicely. I want to get that fixed, so I will for certain. Again, when you put your blocks together right here, I want you to make sure that you pin those good, because you want these to match up as well as you possibly can make them. You know, they don't hit. You just like them to look nicely. And then here is my melanoma one. And I am very pleased with the way they both came out. Back to the directions on how I did it. The B squares, which make up these geese, the inside of your geese, I did cut those 1/8 of an inch larger, and they worked out fine. I didn't have any problems at all. On the 32C triangles, you cut 6 of them, and so this is what I'm referring to now. I did cut those at 2 1/2 inches. It called for 2 3/8, so I did increase it by 1/8. Other than that, everything was cut normally. So on B and C, I do suggest that you cut it 1/8 inch larger, and I had no problem squaring it up when I did it that way at all. So that is the completion of our block number 18, which is called Catch a Falling Star. It is 4, I think you could see the 4 beautiful different stars. I really like this. I think it's a very, very pretty block, and it was not a difficult block to put together. You know, you just had a lot of flying geese with it, and as long as you can make your flying geese a little bit bigger so that you can go back and square them up, you'll be all set. I will also stick a link to where I got this spray bottle from down below in the show notes, along with all of the other notions that I use to put the blocks together. They're all down there. So my Karen K. Buckley scissors, my Olfa rotary blade, and my rulers, they're all down below in the instructions. So I will make sure that I add the mister to it so that you guys, if you want to pick it up, you obviously can. So thank you so very much for joining me today for block number 18. I'll be back tomorrow with block number 19. Thanks, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye, everybody.